if you're wanting to examine this process by which self-grasping or grasping at true existence arises, I think it might be more effective to look at something, see it, all the parts involved in it, really go through and notice all these different parts, and then see how the mind puts the parts together through a conceptual process and calls it whatever it is. And how after we call it that, without even being consciously aware, we then think it is that from its own side. And so that's the grasping at true existence. So I think watching that process is very, very helpful. So you could start with, the chair, and you look at the different parts of the chair, and really look at them as different parts. See different parts, don't see a chair. Or look out there and see branches and limbs and leaves and trunks, and don't see a tree, just see the parts. And then step back and then see how the mind coalesces that into a tree or into a chair. And then how, when you look at it the next time, it appears that it's a tree or a chair out there from its own side. And then see how you do that with other people, how it seems when you look at somebody else that there's a real person inside there, but actually there's just body, feelings, discriminations, different conditioning factors and different consciousnesses, and see all those different things, and then see how the mind puts them together, and then not only calls them, we call them person, but it's very soon after that, then there's there's a real person out there that's in addition to the aggregates. It's not just the aggregates, there's something in addition to the aggregates. There's not just the parts of the tree, there's something in addition to that, And then see how we hold that thing that's in addition to what is there with the parts as coming from the side of the parts, existing somehow within those parts, being fused with them in some way, but not totally fused. Okay? And I think that's a good way to get an idea of what inherent existence means and how that process of self-grasping arises. And then when you do that with other people, then look at it and do it with yourself. It's just you can start just with your body and really look at different parts of the body. There's no body there, there's just arms and legs and tissues and this and that. That's what's helpful about doing the body meditation. There's just all these different organs and tissues and limbs. And then you put them together and the mind makes them a body. And then the next moment, there's really a body. Okay? And then of course we get into my body, which is another step. Okay? But then do that with yourself. Okay, but then there's the 5 aggregates of which the self are composed. And see the different aggregates. And then see how the mind puts them together and says me, and how as soon as we say me, boy, we go into self-grasping, don't we? It comes so quickly. I think that's a good way to watch how that process occurs.
I find it also interesting that when I'm meditating, usually when I first sit down, the label I is on the body and mind. But once I've really calmed myself, it ceases to be on the body and it's more just on the mind.
Yes. Yes.
And then it's like, oh, my body is just a body.
Yeah.
It's not me.
Until your body hurts.
Yeah. Or I stand up and have to use it or something like this. Then all of a sudden it's back to I am my body, mind.
Right. Yeah. And very often, the body falls away a little bit at least. But then it seems like the I is closely related to the mind, isn't it? I don't like this. I want that.
Of course, even after a while, all the storytelling becomes the sense of self.
Yeah.
All the conceptualization that I tell myself, the observations, the judgments, the fantasizing and stuff, that then becomes Semke. She's so much a part of her thinking.
Right.
Because the body does fall away. I'm always disconnected to it, and I'm only in my mind.
Yeah. But then, how we use our past to create this sense of self, you know, and hold on to those stories, because those stories give us an identity now. And so then we get all involved in the stories and what you were saying, you know, Amsterdam in the 70s and and somehow that's creating the sense of I right now, but, you know, I am the one who...
We're like addicted to it.
Yeah.
It's so powerful to rein the mind away from those stories. Then you have, for me, I have a sense of, well then, who am I?
Right. Who am I? And that's why, you see, you know, when you become a monastic and you give away the things that you had as a lay person, then that, you know, why sometimes it takes people a while to do that, because they're still very attached to that sense of I. But as you give those things away, you know, then you lose that attachment to being that person. Yeah. But it does leave you sometimes a little bit up in the air. Well, who am I? Yeah. If I'm leaving that identity of so-and-so who liked this and did that and was friends with this one and was the victim of that one and had, you know, all these friends that loved her and all these people that hated her. If I leave all that behind and just let it go, what am I going to be?
I find the identity of being a monastic is almost more strong than confused and the past conflicts.
So depending on the person, if you then develop an identity, I'm a monastic, then you're just doing the same thing. Okay, I'm a monastic, therefore, you know, I'm this and this and this. You're going to take Bhikshuni ordination if you come back here. I'm a Bhikshuni. Now, you know, this is da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm a Bhikshuni now. We'll put you in your place, don't worry about it. You know, but that can easily happen when somebody is leaving behind an old identity and then creating a new one, that we latch onto it.
Because for me, after letting go of all the physical stuff, then there's the memories that were produced by the objects.
Right.
So now I'm finding I'm dealing now with the memories.
Yeah.
And how that's the part that now has to be let go. They're just thoughts, they don't exist, there's nothing there.
Yeah, right. But what we were talking about before, our addiction to those memories and thinking about them again and again and again in our meditation, and how thinking about somebody else's memories or somebody else's pain is so boring. You know, this would be very good. Kath, you write out your memories, give them to Sunke, and every time she starts getting into her memory, she has to take out yours and read it, you know, and get into your memory. And then we'll see how long that lasts.
I know what I think about.
Then you can think about her memories. And then, you know, you really see, it's really quite boring, isn't it? You know, it's like, okay, you know, that's the past and that happened, and it's interesting at the beginning, but if you keep thinking about it, it's really quite boring. Yeah. She's smiling, she's not so sure.
Well, you know what I've been doing is I've been taking the memories and replacing the people in my memories with the people of the present. Oh, there's all sorts of conjecture going on. I should have been a playwright.